While architecting a compute solution with Google Cloud, you need to take care of many important aspects such as your existing infrastructure, your technical requirements, and your business requirements. Based on that, you provide a proposed solution. In this video, we're going to take a look at all those factors that should be kept in mind while selecting the most appropriate compute solution in Google Cloud. Hello everyone, my name is Piyush and this is another video in the series Namaste Google Cloud. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So let's take an example. Suppose you have a requirement something like this. Your existing infrastructure running a monolithic application and you need to migrate it to Google Cloud, and there shouldn't be any refactoring of code. Now, which Google Compute solution would you choose? Right? So in that scenario, if you see your workload is not container based because it is a legacy and monolithic application, so you cannot use the container based solution and you cannot use fully managed service. Now it is not event driven as well, right? So the option that you have is compute engine. This is what you use. You would do something called as lift and shift, move your existing infrastructure from on-prem to cloud without making any code changes. So this is what you will be using. Now let's take another example. Let's say your requirement is to move your on-prem Kubernetes cluster, right? You have an on-prem K8 and then you have to move it to Google Cloud. And again, you would want to do lift and shift without making any code changes, without doing any refactoring, right? So in that case, you would be using something called as GKE. So GKE would be running on Google Cloud. It's a partially managed Kubernetes service. There are two deployment options with GKE. One is standard and another one is autopilot, right? With standard, you have the flexibility to manage the underlying nodes, right? You can make changes in the node, select the number of nodes, and all those things you can do it. But with autopilot, you don't get access to the underlying nodes, but you can still see your workload. You can still your control plane components and all other things. Now, why I say this as a partially managed service? Because your auto upgrades and your node repairs, your patching of servers, those will be still taken care by Google Cloud. So that is why it is partially managed and partially you have to take care of it. Now, this is the case when you have to migrate your on-prem K8s to Google Cloud, right? So this is what you would use. Now, there would be cases when, let's say, this would be your release 1.0. Now, in next release, you've been tasked to move away from any of the partially managed service and you want to completely go serverless. So in that case, Cloud Run would be a better choice for you. So this is a managed service for Kubernetes where you don't have to manage your servers. So in this, you won't have to do anything other than just run your code and focus on your business logic other than managing server operations and all other tasks, right? So Cloud Run is suitable in that use case. Now let's say your workload is not running on Google Cloud. It is container based and it is running on K8s, but not on Google Cloud. It is running on, let's say, either on AWS or Azure, VMware, bare metal, or even on premises. And there are multiple cluster running in each of those or either of those. And you would have to manage everything from Google Cloud itself. So this is what we use over here is Anthos. Anthos is a very powerful service provided by Google Cloud, and it will give you a single pane of glass for all your Kubernetes cluster, whether running on any of these cloud providers or even on premises. So you can manage all your Kubernetes cluster directly from GCP. Now let's say your workload is not a monolithic application and it is not container based. You need to check the requirements if it is event driven. Event driven means whether the execution of your application is triggered by any of the events generated in other GCP services, such as a pub sub topic or a cloud storage bucket object notification event. So in that case, if it is event driven, you would use something called as cloud function. So cloud function would be triggered only when an event is received from any other service, and you will be charged based on the execution of code, not because it won't be running all the time. So whenever you execute your code, whenever you invoke a cloud function, only those number of times you will be charged. If it is not event driven and if it is not container based, but you still want to have a serverless service which is fully managed by GCP, then you would use App Engine. In App Engine, again, there are two offerings. One is App Engine Standard and App Engine Flexible. With Standard, you have some predefined runtimes that you could use. But with Flexible, there is a flexibility to create your own custom runtime, and you can even run containers on top of that. So for App Engine, for GKE, for Compute Engine, I have created separate video with the detailed explanation and the demo as well. But for this video, I just wanted to cover in which scenario we use what type of GCP service and why do we choose it. With App Engine, there is one more benefit of using it. Like if you are using this service, you can have multiple versions of an application running. Let's say you have 1.0 and 1.1 running at the same time, and you can split the traffic between those two services. Let's say you want 50% of the users to access the older version, 50% to access the newer version, like a canary deployment. So in that case, you can use App Engine as well. These are the basic requirements that we should keep in mind while selecting a service, but there could be some low level requirements and you have to do a lot of deep investigation to choose the right service for your use case. Let's head over to the knowledge check section to see what we have learned so far. Let's suppose you have a requirement where you want to deploy multiple versions of the application at the same time, and you should be able to split the traffic between those two versions. Which two GCP services can be used for this particular use case? You need to deploy an application that receives Google Cloud events, for example, PubSub event or a cloud storage object change notification event. Can you use Cloud Run considering you do not want to manage the infrastructure? Please read these type of questions very carefully because all the requirements are mentioned in the question itself. It says you don't want to manage the infrastructure. That means you need a serverless GCP service and also which should be triggered from an event generated by other GCP services. So yeah, so these are the two requirements. So whether Cloud Run would be a suitable choice for this use case or not. Now you want to lift and shift your workload from your virtual machines running on premises to GCP. Which Google service would you use? On the same lines, if you want to lift and shift your on premises Kubernetes workload to GCP, which GCP service you should use? You can manage your on premises Kubernetes cluster from Google Cloud. Is that statement true or false? Which GCP service you should use for your event driven workloads? I hope this video was somewhat beneficial to you and you have learned something out of it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share with it your friends and family and colleagues, and let me know in the comment section below if you know the answers of these questions. If you don't, then also feel free to reach out and I will be more than happy to help you out. I will see you soon in the next video. Thank you very much and you have a good day.